Last time I asked you to take a slow walk through your home. This time, let's take it together. Start at the front door of an older American house, anything built before 1980, and walk through it room by room, not to be afraid of it, to understand it. Because in almost every room you're about to enter, there's a quiet chance that something was built in decades ago and simply never left. We'll start where you live. The living room, the bedrooms, the hallways. Look up first. If the ceiling above you is textured, that bumpy, sprayed on popcorn finish, there's a real chance in a home this age that it contains asbestos. It was sprayed across millions of American ceilings and it's still up there in a great many of them. Now look at the walls, not the paint. What's underneath? The joint compound used to smooth the seams of drywall often contained asbestos too. You'd never know by looking. It's sealed inside the wall, painted over, invisible. And as long as it stays that way, it's usually content to be left alone. The danger in these rooms isn't living in them, it's the day someone decides to scrape that ceiling smooth or sand those walls down for a remodel. Now look down because the floor follows you through the whole house. Those small 9-inch vinyl tiles and the dark tar-like glue holding them down are one of the most common asbestos materials in the country. So is old sheet flooring and the paper-like backing underneath it. You'll find it in kitchens, bathrooms, hallways, basements. This is one of the materials a trained inspector will often simply presume to be asbestos without even testing, because in homes of this age, it so often is. It's also one of the most common ways people expose themselves without realizing it. Pulling up an old floor, tile by tile, on a Saturday afternoon. Step into the kitchen. The floor again, vinyl or sheet flooring over that adhesive. But look further. Around older ovens and stoves, insulation and gaskets sometimes contained asbestos, made to resist exactly the heat those appliances produce. None of it is dangerous while it's sitting still. It's the tear out, the day the kitchen gets gutted for something new, that turns quiet material into airborne dust. The bathroom tells a similar story. The flooring beneath your feet, the adhesive under old wall tile, some of the textured coatings on the walls and ceiling, small rooms, sealed up, renovated often, which is exactly why they deserve a careful eye before the demolition starts. Now we go downstairs. And this is where you should slow down the most. The basement, the utility room, wherever your furnace and pipes live. This is the part of the house where asbestos was used in its most dangerous forms. Look at the pipes. If they're wrapped in an old, chalky, papery insulation, sometimes called lagging, that material was very often asbestos. And unlike a sealed tile, it can crumble. When asbestos crumbles easily in your hand, we call it friable, and friable asbestos is the kind that releases fibers most readily into the air. Look at the boiler or the old furnace, the insulation around it, the rope-like gasket on its door. Look at the ductwork. The tape and the hard mud sealing the joints often contained asbestos, another material an inspector will frequently presume rather than test. This is the room where I'd never want you experimenting. If any of that insulation is damaged, flaking, or falling, that's not a repair to do yourself. That's a phone call. Climb up to the attic and there's one thing to look for. If the insulation isn't the soft pink or yellow batting you'd expect, but instead a loose, pebbly material, grayish brown, almost like small gravel, that may be vermiculite. And a great deal of the vermiculite insulation in American homes came from a single mine that was contaminated with asbestos and was sold for decades. Disturbing it, crawling through it, moving boxes across it, remodeling around it, can send fibers into the air. If it's up there and undisturbed, the best thing is often to leave it exactly where it is, seal off the space, and get advice before you go poking around. Finally, step back outside and look at the house itself. The siding, especially if it's a hard cement-like shingle, may be an asbestos cement product. The roof shingles, the felt beneath them, even the putty glazing around old windows. All of it was built to last outdoors, and much of it has. Left intact, weathering quietly on the outside of your home, it generally poses little risk. It's cutting it, drilling it, power washing it, or smashing it during a tear off that turns it into a problem. So that's the walk. Front door to attic, foundation to roof. And if it feels like asbestos is everywhere in an older home, that's because, honestly, it can be. But notice what every single one of those materials had in common. Not one of them was dangerous while it was left alone. Every hazard we found was waiting for the same thing, to be disturbed. That's the strange mercy of it. This isn't a threat that hunts you, it's one that waits, and only becomes dangerous the moment you decide to change something without knowing what it's made of. So before your next project in any room we just walked through, ask the question first. Get it tested or get someone who can presume it correctly to take a look. And if it's the crumbling insulation in the basement or the vermiculite in the attic, don't touch it. Make the call. In the next video, I want to tell you about that single mine, the one that quietly sent contaminated insulation into millions of homes, and the town that paid the price for it. It's one of the strangest and saddest stories in this whole subject. If this walk through the house was useful, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay curious about the place you live.